Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. It's your girl, Sonia McQueen, with your mind, your body, your choice. All right, you know, something happened today, and I just thought I would take a really quick break and come and tell you about it because that's what I do sometimes. About 3 months ago, I was out for a run and I passed this young man, and I might have spoke about this before. I can't remember, but I probably told you guys this story before. But anyway, there was a young man. He was walking towards me, as I was running, and he, how you nod your head at somebody and said, good morning, ma'am. And I said, good morning. And he smiled and kept walking. I kept walking. He didn't ask for anything, nothing. So a couple of days later, I seen the same young man again with the same clothes on. And right then I knew he was homeless. Didn't understand it the first time, but I knew he was homeless this time. And once again, he smiled at me and said, good morning. I said, good morning. And I kept running, but then I kicked myself because I had a bottle of water and it was so hot. I had an extra. I always carry two, depending on how many miles I'm doing. This particular day, I had two bottles, so that meant I was doing at least 10 miles. So um, I kicked myself for not offering him a bottle of water. And I thought, you know what? Even if I'm only doing 4 to 6 miles, I'm going to carry an extra bottle of water for him. And I did see him again one day and went to offer him the water, but I didn't catch him. So, long story short, today I took the grandkids, dropped them off at camp, went to the store, did a few things, and I'm driving home and I see this young man walking down the sidewalk. Now, the area I live in, you don't see many homeless people. I've probably seen two the entire time, and I mean my neighborhood. I've probably seen two outside of the gates on the sidewalk or something. So I went through the gate to come home, and everything in me was telling me, turn around. You are starting a new business. You are helping the homeless. You are helping the homeless get on their feet, get jobs. You're setting them up. You're housing them. The ones that don't have drug issues or mental health issues. Let me throw that out there. Trying to get them reacclimated back into society, back on their own feet. So I thought, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity. He's a sweet guy. He seems to be. He seems to be. He's a young guy. He's probably between 20 and 26. So let me turn around. So I go back out the gate. I drive down the sidewalk and I pass him and pull in so I can turn on my hazard lights. I pull in and I wait a couple of minutes before I get out of my car until he gets closer to me. And I finally get out of my car and I go to speak to him, and he's got his hands. Um, I used to work in special ed, and there is something some of the kids would do where their hands would be moving, um, almost like you are typing, but you're typing facing hand to hand. I hope that makes sense. Just you're wiggling each finger, mostly the middle three fingers, and your hands are facing each other. He was doing that, and he had his hands up close to his face and back down, and close to his face and back down. And I said, excuse me. And he started talking gibberish. And I said, excuse me, I want to ask you a question. I want to give you something too. I had some fruit I had just bought in my car and some water and stuff. And he started talking gibberish, kept talking gibberish, and he walked around me. And he was so dirty. And I just wanted to cry because just a few months ago, y'all, he was, in my opinion, I mean, I didn't speak to him long, but good morning, ma'am. The hands weren't going, but living out in the elements, God only knows what you have to face. And praise the Lord, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to sleep outside and have to worry about bugs and insects and animals, dogs and people. I don't have to worry about the sun being so hot and I don't have water, that I'm just praying that I don't have a heat stroke or die of starvation or dehydration. I don't know what it's like to sit outside and get caught in one of these Florida rainstorms where it rains like crazy and it floods within an hour, but then 2 hours later it's all dried up. So I just got soaking wet. I'm trying to get on higher ground just for now the sun to be beaming on me at 96 degrees. I don't know what any of that's like. But to see the effects of a young man who a few months ago spoke to me to now speaking gibberish and waving his fingers around in his face as he walks and talks to himself was absolutely heartbreaking to me. My friend Paula shared a video I did well over a decade ago that I honestly didn't remember till she posted it, and I didn't even look at it. I never look at my videos. When I was on TV, I never looked at any of the shows I was on. When I was on radio shows, I never listened to any of the 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 what are they called? Not podcasts, but the broadcast. And when I would go do speaking engagements, I never went back and looked at the videos if they posted them. But something told me to post this, look at this one, and I did. And one of the last things I said is, we always wonder why people don't do something about situations. Why don't people do things about the homeless or mothers who are hitting their kids or kids who are trying to avoid gangs or whatever the situation is. And then at the end of that, I said, why don't I do something? I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. My company is Encompass to help other people. And this is a true sign to me that had I not thought of this several months ago and talked to him, then maybe I could have helped him. But I can't live on my maybes. I can't live on what could have that didn't happen. All I know is that every day I'm working at trying to make this a better world for the few people I touch. What are you doing? What are you doing? If you are one of those people who sit back on social media all day and comment on other people's lives, that's all you do. You're not doing your part. Even if you're creating your own social media and you're bringing hope and positivity and love and commitment and God to people, you might be doing your part. Maybe that's your part. But there are so many nasty, mean, negative comments floating around on social media. And guess what, y'all? They get way more likes than the kind, loving, God-driven ones. Unless your name's Joyce Myers, Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, all that love and kindness can fall to the side. You can post a picture. Test me if you don't believe me. I've got like maybe 400 or 500 friends on Facebook, but you could post a picture and maybe a fourth, an eighth of your friends will like it. And that's a good number of people, no matter how many friends you have. You have 100 friends, 20 of them like it. That's good. That's good. That's 20%, right? So you post something else. Now post something negative. Did y'all see Usher and Keke Palmer? You're going to get all kinds of comments. Now post something about God or post something positive or a meme about the light shining. You might get a couple of hearts, a couple of hugs, thumbs up, but it's not going to compare to that post you posted about Usher and Keke Palmer or your pictures. It's just like that. I know it's like that. But each one can teach one. So just reach back and do your part. Don't tell me if you're listening to my podcast, I'm going to assume you're grown. I can't see too many 12-year-olds wanting to hear this podcast. But if you're listening to this, you're a grown up. You've been through something. I don't care how minute you think it is or how major you think it is. You've been through something. When you see somebody else going through something, act like you know. It doesn't even have to be the same scenario. Act like you know what it's like to be hungry. Act like you know what it's like to be hurting. Act like you know what it's like to be homeless. Because by the grace of God, you were one paycheck away from being there in all those scenarios. Act like you know what it's like when your friend loses a child, to lose a child. Have real compassion. Don't expect them to get over it in a month or 2 months and swear you would have. You don't know. And by the grace of God, you'll never find out. Because if I lost one of mine, I'd never be right again. I would just hope God keeps the same people in my circle that are there now to love on me, to make me smile, to bring joy to my life, because I cannot imagine carrying a child and then losing them. I can't imagine it. So, you guys, I don't care what your situation, I don't care if you were like me and you got caught shoplifting one time. If you were almost homeless, you didn't have anywhere to go, but you went from the hospital to somebody bought you a ticket to go somewhere else. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you did something and it has nothing to do with somebody else's situation. Act like you know what it's like to be in a situation. Act like you know what it's like to be in a valley. Act like you know what it's like to have to call on Jesus with your whole heart, with tears flowing down your face, because you're in such a desert. You don't know what tomorrow's going to be like, and he pulls you out. Don't look at the next person and frown or talk about them or feel like you're so much better than them. Because, once again, but for the grace of God. All right, you guys, I was a little sad about the guy, but all it did was I've already got a fire under me. Somebody just threw some gasoline on it. So my gasoline draws and we're going to keep this pushing out. Listen, I'm also looking for volunteers. If you are in the state of Florida, if you are in the state of Florida, if you are in the state of Florida, I don't care where in Florida, you could probably help. But after we get this up and going, it'll probably be a year or so. Here I come, Georgia. And then here I come, Missouri. I got this. All right. You guys have a great day on purpose. I got to get back to my lesson.